Okay, just to explain really quick, this video is a time-lapse of the about 7 hours of footage me and Reese took building this train in Fortnite creative mode. Yes, this Fortnite. Hope you enjoy. Okay, so the build starts out here with us putting a platform down and some road underneath it. And then to get all these parts in the first place, some of the galleries we threw out were the IO Blimp Gallery, the Crashed Abductor Gallery, and the Cloudy Condos Gallery, just to get some of the building assets needed to build this. And then the next thing we did here, after we threw down the first wall, is to just try to find some pieces that looked good as the roof of the train. So here we tried this one piece, tried moving it around, and it worked pretty well for this one side. So we tested to a normal build piece, which are exactly one grid space apart, and we copy and pasted it all the way down for the one side. Then when it came time to do the other side, we realized, oh wait, this isn't big enough. There would be a gap in the middle. So we just scaled it up and did both sides at the same time. So we just removed the stuff we just put down, and then we copy and pasted both sides all the way down instead, because that's so much easier. Also, I should probably mention that when I say we, I mean we were both in the same room together, and Reese was the one with the controller, and I was just giving my advice for how stuff looked. I just wanted to clear that up before we get too far into the video. Also, the timer at the bottom is in just minutes and seconds for some reason, instead of the hours, minutes, seconds format we're used to seeing. So, the next thing we did after that was we went and recreated the walls for the two end caps of the train. We started with the wall at the back there, which was pretty simple, and then we moved on to this wall here that separated the passenger cabin from the engine room of the train where the conductors sit. So here we are just polishing a few details here. Now that that part's done, we can start on the inside. So here we are just testing different designs for the seats and just seeing what works here. So, and then as you can see here, yeah, we ended up with quite a few different designs. So we found that these ones worked the best in the end. So we just went with those. Then we thought that those other pieces could be used as the cushion for the seat, but we found this other one that works better. So we just proportioned that to fit there instead. And I'm really proud of how it turned out. But now that we have our basic seat design down, we realized, oh wait, yeah, this should probably seat 3 people per row instead of just 2, if we're trying to go for a maximum accommodations here. And then we started work on the table for the seats here in the train, and that was pretty straightforward. It took a little bit just to figure out the correct thickness and stuff we should do for the table, but after a little bit, we finally got the design down. And then we started on the stuff we're actually putting on the table, like the lights and the hollow screens for the passengers. It took a little bit just to figure out the correct dimensions for the screen, just so we could fit 3 of them on here. But eventually we figured it out. Okay, so we officially got all 3 screens onto the desk at this point, but it took us quite a lot of just tweaking now just to get them all oriented and dimensioned correctly here. So that took quite a while. Then after we got all the screens oriented correctly, we started working on the lights, which act as little projectors for the screens. So that was a fun thing to do. So now that we got one increment of the desks set up, we selected all of them and copied and pasted it. And we did that all the way down the room for the entire room. We did make sure to leave some space for an emergency exit and some handicap seats, as you can see there. So the whole room wasn't filled with these seats, but most of it was. After that, we went outside and removed all of the anchor builds that we used for spacing. After that, we worked on improving the handicap section more by deleting some of the seats there and just creating our own little handicap symbols here, which I'll show in a little bit here. So to create the handicap symbol, we threw out something called the Primitive Shapes Gallery, which gives you all of these different basic shapes to work with and sculpt complex symbols and stuff with. There's also a B version of this gallery, which has different textures, like marble, galaxy, etc., whereas the first one just has different colors. We used Gallery A because we only needed it to be white. I'm pretty proud of how the handicap symbol actually turned out compared to the reference image. So now all we have to do is copy and paste it over here. And then also we're using a build to perfectly snap it to grid. And then we had to select them and move them over a little bit also. Next, we had to design the front of the train. So this is where I came in. I found this image on Google, and we based the design of the front of the train off of that image. For the front here, we just took a piece from the I.O. Blimp gallery and then distorted it to match the proportions of the image. And then we got two other pieces here to mimic those circles you saw on the sides. So that was actually quite difficult to get those all oriented and proportions and stuff correctly. To form the rest of the front, we took pieces from the Primitive Shapes Gallery B and changed the texture to black marble, and then we just oriented a bunch of those onto the top here. We started with the top right and then moved to the other sides afterwards, but this one definitely took the longest out of all four, I feel like, since we didn't have any base to work off, unlike with the other ones. The last part was just putting in this triangle and thinning it out so it would just fit in this gap here that left by the rounded pieces. And then there we go. That's 1 out of 4 sides done. We thought it would just be as easy as just flipping it, but yeah, no, that's what it looks like if we just flipped it. So it actually took a lot more work than we thought to set up this second side here. We had to scale quite a few pieces differently than they were on the other side, especially the triangle at the bottom, just because of how much of a difference in gap there was here. After those, though, the bottom two panels were so much easier. So that was really nice. And then we moved on to the floor here, which was pretty straightforward, except we made the door too short, so we had to back it up and create a little slope here for the door like that. Now for the time you've all been waiting for, interior decorating. So we threw down the Alien Invasion gallery and started putting these different props around. We put the control panel for the engine room, and then we put these alien lights all over the passenger compartment here. Next, we took some of these alien structures here to align the insides of the engine room to make it feel more industrial, like an engine. And then we took this seat here and plopped it down and made 2 of the control panels. And then we took this giant monitor here and blew that up to have the pilots look at while flying. Then we actually started the game to test the functionality of the seats and see how accessible they were. I definitely call that a success in my book. Thanks for watching.